Hey everybody, my name is Geoff Livingston. I am one of the co-organizers for Association AI Day with my company Generative Buzz. I am joined by my good friend Andrew Bates, the Enterprise Data Strategy Director at AARP and also a very longtime friend of mine and a speaker at Association AI Day. Andrew Holler, how are you?
Thank you very much for having me. Doing great.
It's good to see you, my friend. How's everything going with you? I think before we got on, you were telling me it's been 15 years since we've been friends.
Yeah, it was, you've always been at the front of the tech. It started out when I was at Network Solutions and you were getting into natural language processing and people were flipping out about crisis communications. And I think you were one of the first to be like, before you wreck, do you want to know why people are upset? And they're like, I never thought of that. Why would, oh, a reason behind it. I thought we just put out a press release. And you're like, maybe you should know a little bit more about the issue.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember that Michael Arrington incident with
Yeah.
TechCrunch? Oh my God. Ah,
Hmm.
well, we'll have to give a shout out to Shashi. And of course, then there was George. And then now you've been at AARP for some time now.
Yeah,
Um,
hitting the 9 year mark, I think.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's a great organization. Obviously, impacts many, many people across the country. I was hoping to talk to you a little bit today on your topic for Association AI Day and kind of just get a little bit of a preview, if you would, for folks that are going to attend. And obviously, we'll do this a little more like my podcast, and I'll banter with you a bit.
Sure.
So, talk to me what you really see going on within the data world as it applies to organizations like yours or maybe other associations as it may occur.
Um, you know, what I'm seeing that I'm pleasantly surprised with is a little bit of pause and thought. Certainly, there's the people rushing into things. I think a benefit of being in a nonpartisan, nonprofit association with a membership with a big audience is we do think before we speak. In a lot of situations, we do lean on the research, the information out there, and putting together some cross-functional groups to make those bigger decisions. So um, that's what I, really appreciate that I've seen is not those rushing out and immediately pumping out lazy content with generative AI or relying too heavily on tools that are making it up as they're going along too.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? Most organizations, particularly in this space, are a little more conservative, right? They're not going to be the first ones to run out and maybe have to backtrack a little bit. So, with that in mind, I mean, what are you hearing that folks are focusing on first? Is it governance? Is it making sure that data integrity is taken care of? Is it security? I mean, I hear that quite a bit. People are quite worried about their data and making sure things don't get leaked out. Or I just saw a big incident with Samsung having its some of its code leaked out on ChatGPT 4. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah.
That will be used as a use case here. We started off, I would say, governance can be kind of a boring or scary word, but really in our context, it's cross-functional teams who put the brakes on and make some decisions together. The approach was this is a long haul thing. It's not going away and we're going to be a part of it, but have some immediate ground rules while we work out the rest. So immediately we knew the first thought was let's, seeing just right out of the gate hallucination effect, hearing about, these types of copyright violations, just looking at lazy, boring content and going, what was the point? That was one of the first pauses is, hey, let's not just do that. And then the next, what you just described as like a total setup, is we immediately knew we do not want to put our data into a open source tool, a co-op of information for any potential risk there is. So those first things were, you know, we're not going to use it for publicly facing content creation, but can we use it for inspiration? So content creators playing with these things to get ideas, do a little bit more research that way, and then that spawns some ideas. And from the data perspective, we're one of the interesting use cases that is not an issue for us is code debugging. Our data scientists are getting errors with their Python code or something like that, and they're putting into generative AI. That code checks and it goes, aha, there's an asterisk missing, and they're saving just a ton of time just debugging code, and those are just strings of alphanumeric characters that nobody's worried about.
Are they using a GitHub Copilot for that, or are they using a private instance, something secure
Playing
like
with
one of
both.
those?
We haven't gone with a closed environment yet. The
Yeah,
big thing that we're talking about there for data science with the closed environment is garbage in, garbage out.
right.
If we go down the path of having our own, biases, our own environments, like training any machine, if we train it to do what we want, what we like, we will get a yes man out of it, and we're not going to get any learnings there.
Wow, that's actually really insightful. That's a little bit different. And I know we're having an AI conversation with garbage in, garbage out comes up because that is like classic data science right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you foresee a lot of organizations and associations not being ready for the data challenges that AI brings? I have a friend, her name's Jennifer Ives. She has a company called Watering Hole AI, and she deals with large enterprises that may or may not be ready. And often she'll say that the AI problem is really a data problem. Can you dive into why some organizations may not be ready?
I think one area, and it gets to the data, but one area that I think I'm already seeing is jumping into vendors, um, getting tools, getting consultancies, getting ready to just spend money um, with the hype and
Andrew,
not
you're
having.
killing my business model.
Yeah. No, you got something behind you. There's the
A
ones
brick
out
wall?
there. I want you to do some stand up. Now this is the side of things that you've seen in marketing your entire career where
Right.
you're like, they have no proof. They're not even showing you what they've done for other clients. They're not letting you, speak to anybody. They're not showing you a demo of anything, whatever. They're just coming in and saying, hey, buy this tool. Or the ones that I think are a bit of the data risk side are which I've seen more is a tool you license online. You get it and you're like, I'm going to pump out short form content on my website all day long and I'm going to pay for it and it's cheap. Why not? That's what I
S-
hear. It's cheap. Why not?
Sizzle reels. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you have any favorite AI tools that you particularly like on your own time that you may play with just to kind of get familiar with generative?
So we, that's why you say own time. That's a good one because we are very limited to what we can use internally.
Secure environment.
My complicated love hate relationship that I've had for decades, I guess now with Google, is I like Bard. I've found it to be very accurate. Sometimes completely boring. My my
I like
my
how it lets you check it against
yeah,
actual web searches.
yeah, and so that's cool. I do like to look at the cited researches. I've found yet to find it lying to me. But if you want some fun with it, is try to get it to give you an argument in favor of a very decisive issue, socially, politically, religious, whatever. Just take something that is an absolute dumpster fire of a topic and ask it to make you basically an argument for or against that dumpster fire. And you'll just get well, there are two sides to this issue. Some will say, and it's like, no, I wanted to get Google to say something horrible, and it just won't do it.
So much for making Philly fans the worst out there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, exactly.
so it's funny you mentioned that because I actually did a little thing yesterday where I tested Bard, GPT-4, and Claude against each other to see which one would source what I felt was the best list of the top 5 AI ghouls for Halloween, and seeing which ones listed which. And all 3 of them had the same top 2, which was HAL 9000 from 2001 Space Odyssey and the Terminator. But then afterwards, they each had some variants. It was pretty interesting. I have to tell you, I was quite amazed at the differing points of view. And I pretty much assume that they're all using a lot of the same public data for their training. So the algorithm differences are there.
That's going to be the problem. Is at the end of the day, that's where the sloppy content I think is going to come in. Is because of course they're using the same data, and what we learned over the years with some search engines and things like that is sometimes under the hood is a single source. So it's like a different brand, but really they are actually pulling literally from the same place. So that's I think we're gonna, how to differentiate what's out there and get value from it is gonna be a big test. I think when it comes to the tools, I would say to people is just do not get into a lengthy contract with some online tool where you're going to find at some point you're not getting value out of it.
Very good. Well, folks, you're going to have to catch Andrew's session if you really want to get the deep down dive. Association AI Day. And of course, Andrew, where can people find you online?
LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me directly. I like to find peers there. I don't touch Twitter now that Andrew Bates, who works for Joe Biden in his White House, is a pit bull out there on the internet. I get mentioned way too many times for some pretty bad stuff. But that's the best place. I'm boring otherwise.
Do you want to hear something funny?
Of course.
There are actually a couple other Geoff Livingston spelled exactly the same way, but one of them is a photographer in Seattle. And we both get inquiries for each other's photos.
Nice. Yeah, because you are the man these days. I took your class. Anybody out there who's in the DC area needs to, if you're still teaching that, I got a lot out of your photography class.
I'm actually resuming in 2023. Four. God, it's the end of the year already. All right, Andrew, we'll see you at Association AI Day. And thank you so much for appearing on this little mini podcast. Cheers, my friend.
Thank you so much.